Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Reviewing History. Our topic today is crime and punishment, comparing the temperance movement and prison and asylum reform. We have here today two guest experts on this era in history. Please welcome our first guest, Kira McMillan. Good morning, Kira. It's great to have you here. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I understand that you're an expert in this time in history. Kira, can you give us some insight to the temperance movement and its impact on society?
Well, Mia, the temperance movement occurred due to the fact that there was rapid increase in alcohol consumption. Drinking was leading to many accidents at work and health issues. It also affected many families' lives at home.
In what ways was it affecting families?
After a long day of working, men would usually go to the bar and get drunk. They would then go home and drunkenly beat their wives and children. As a result, women played a huge part in the movement.
How did they play a huge part in the movement?
Well, the women in these circumstances made up a lot of the American Temperance Society.
What is the American Temperance Society?
It was a group founded in 1826 in Boston, consisting of people who pledged to not consume alcohol.
Oh wow, that must have been difficult for the society that they lived in.
Yeah, it is said that it was very hard for men to stop drinking, but it was even harder for them to gain support and get the other people to stop as well.
Were there any specific tactics that they used to coax people into joining them?
They released inside information to the public to show them that the overconsumption of alcohol is very dangerous. One example of this is a book named 10 Nights in a Bar Room and What I Saw There. This showed a horrific fictional story of how the use of alcohol affected a small town. This made up a lot of people question whether or not the consumption of alcohol was worth all the damage that it was doing to the society.
Thank you so much, Kira, for your insight to the temperance movement. Up next, we have Megan Oberg to help us understand prison and asylum reform. We'll be right back.
Did Andrew Jackson help the country or destroy it? Tweet your opinion to the hashtag Reviewing History Andrew Jackson so we can see what you have to say.
Welcome back. We're now here with Megan Oberg. How are you today, Megan?
I'm doing great.
Well, I understand that you're an expert in the topics of prison and asylum reform. Who was the main person involved in these reforms and how did they contribute?
Dorothy Dix is an American activist from Maine. She visited prisons throughout the New England area and observed brutal conditions of people considered mentally insane.
What kinds of things did she see?
Dorothea saw these supposedly insane people locked away in dirty and crowded prison cells. Some of these people were bound in chains and even kept in cages. These prisoners were often beaten with rods and whipped when they misbehaved.
How awful. How did Dorothea feel about this?
Dorothea and other reformers believed that the mentally ill needed treatment and care and not punishment.
Being an activist, what actions did she take to fix this?
She contributed in many ways. For example, in Massachusetts, she contributed to the expansion of the state's mental hospital in Worcester. In New Jersey, she prepared a detailed account of the things she witnessed for the state's legislator. In it, she explained the need for funds to construct a facility for treatment of the mentally insane. In North Carolina, Dorothea called for reform and the care of mentally ill patients. Her concern resulted in the construction of a mental institution in the state's capital, Raleigh. This institution was named in honor of her.
Were there any other types of prisons that Dorothea visited?
Yes, she also visited debtors' prisons.
What are debtors' prisons?
They're prisons that people who are unable to pay debt were sent to.
Were these people able to pay off their debts while in prison?
Actually, no. The prison owners didn't offer a way for the debtors to earn money, so they'd be forced to stay in prison.
Were there any harsh conditions in these prisons?
Some of the more fortunate prisoners were lucky and had a pretty decent life, but most lived in intolerable conditions. Lots of prisoners had to beg for coins to buy food, and many even starved to death.
Wow, that sounds terrible. How could the prisoners be released?
Usually, they would only be released when they had paid off all of their debt. Most prisoners gained more debt while incarcerated. It took prisoners years or even decades to get out.
Thank you so much, Megan, for your information about prison and asylum reforms. Up next, we'll have both experts here to discuss the topics. We'll be right back.
And the polls from the last break are in. 70% of you believe that Andrew Jackson helped the country and 30% believe that he destroyed it.
Welcome back to Reviewing History with Kira McMillan and Megan Oberg. I have a question for both of you. How do you think prison and asylum reform relate to the temperance movement?
Well, I think that the people of the temperance movement saw alcohol as a danger to society. They wanted to get rid of it for the overall well-being of citizens.
That's really similar to the way that Dorothea felt when she saw the conditions of prisoners.
During the temperance movement, they outlawed alcohol to fix the problem they had on their hands.
Dorothea created mental asylums as a way to improve the problems in prisons.
So from what you're both telling me, the temperance movement and Dorothea were trying to help society?
Yes.
That concludes this episode of Reviewing History. A big thank you to Megan and Kira for featuring on our show. Be sure to tune in next week for an episode on the Civil War.
Next week on Reviewing History, we will discuss the events leading up to the Civil War and the war's impact on society.